Most people think that the most wealthiest people in the world are just lucky. The right time, the right place, maybe just a good business idea that took them to the next level. But whenever I was in wealth management, I've sat across some of the most ultra high net worth clients. And as I reflected on my journey, I put together this video to tell you this, that the people who build wealth all have one thing in common. It's the invisible skills. And these skills that I'm about to talk about, they don't show up on resumes, but they are the exact reason that money chases them versus them chasing money. So in this video, we're going to talk about 7 invisible skills that turn average people into multi-millionaires. And more importantly, how you can start building them long before money shows up. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. Skill number 1. Emotional intelligence. Since I work in corporate finance, I've seen 2 people handle the same setback. There's one guy that always comes into work very confident, but whenever he messes up, he blames other people. But then there's another guy that comes in very humble. When he makes a mistake, he learns from it and then executes better next time. And that same guy that's humble, he turns his mistakes into leverage for the next opportunity. But the key difference between both of those guys is emotional intelligence. And that same skill is for millionaires. They don't avoid emotion. They just understand it. Let's picture a CEO that's running a multi-million-dollar company that's trying to negotiate with a lot of pressure on the line. And that CEO had to learn over time that he or she has to learn how to adapt, read the room, and then negotiate with logic, not ego. And they don't let their temporary feelings ruin long-term outcomes. And that mindset shows up in so many different areas. Think about that same person learning how to invest through market volatility, or even understanding how to lead teams with a lot of stress and pressure. And even on the personal side, leading a family with a lot of expectations. The truth is, money follows emotional stability. When you stay calm under pressure, you learn how to make choices that a lot of people don't have enough patience to make. So here's your move. Next time something triggers you, whether that's a rude email, a disagreement, or market volatility, just take 90 seconds to pause. Name what you feel, take a deep breath, and decide the outcome before you make that decision. Because that's how you train emotional control into wealth decisions. Skill number 2. Negotiation. Negotiation isn't about being pushy or manipulative. It's about positioning. Every single millionaire that I know, that whenever they're in a negotiation, they make the other side feel like they're winning too. They negotiate like investors, and investors don't think about today's income. They think about tomorrow's upside. And they also don't walk into a deal trying to prove a point or look like the smartest person in the room. They walk in to create alignment on all sides. And they prepare by studying market data, timing, and psychology. Because the goal isn't to win every single conversation. It's to build leverage that compounds. One book that helped shape my mindset was Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. I have both the physical copy and the audiobook. My best way of really understanding the book is to physically read it and listen to the audio version at the same time. You will be surprised of how much information you retain just by doing that. Yeah, it may be double the cost, but it's double the retention. But one of my biggest takeaways is the biggest negotiators never rush silence. They'll use it as leverage. And that pause that you sometimes see negotiators make, that's strategic because it forces the other side to reveal more than they initially intended. And once you have more knowledge, that's where the negotiator gains control. So before your next deal, interview, or contract, write down 3 things that the other side values most. And once you do that, find a way to meet those without sacrificing your goals or your morals. Because that's how you turn negotiation into a long-term win, not a one-time victory. Skill number 3, strategic thinking. Average thinkers chase opportunities, but strategic thinkers creates it. Every single millionaire that I've spoke to creates their decisions in time horizons. There's 2 questions that they ask. The first one is, if I say yes today, how will this play out in 5 years? And then the second one is, what's the second order effect? They don't get distracted by every new thing. They oftentimes focus on sequence. What needs to happen first so that the next move is easier? That's why some people just look lucky, but they're really not. They've built a foundation for years before anyone noticed. Wealth rewards patience that's disguised as planning. Even in my own life, I've seen this play out within Money Talks Media. It wasn't an overnight move. It was years of building credibility, relationships, and skills before I even pressed record. Every panel that I've spoke on, every late night script, and every milestone has led me to what I'm building on today. And that foundation will continue to compound over time. Once a week, zoom out and write down 3 priorities that you value most today. And then ask this question: what's one move that makes everything else easier or unnecessary? And that one question rewires your brain for long-term thinking. Skill number 4. Learning agility. The fastest wealth comes from people who learn faster than anyone else. Millionaires are obsessed with curiosity. They don't just read, they apply it. They'll take a $20 book, pull one insight, and then create it into a $20,000 opportunity. And they don't defend what they know, they just upgrade it. They hire coaches, seek mentors, test new tools, and they adapt. It's because they know ignorance is the most expensive liability in a business. That moment that you stop learning, that's when your income stops growing. That's why it's important to pick one skill set that aligns with your goal. Those skill sets could be storytelling, sales, leadership, or even investing. Commit 30 minutes for 30 days and then track it weekly, because consistency turns curiosity into cash flow. And ask yourself, what can you build today that your future will thank you for later on? Because this kind of mindset shift will help you think differently. And this is just the start, because there is so much more on Money Talks Media. Because most of the videos that you watch are those get rich quick videos, but this one, it's not the same. I know that you were looking for perspective that actually lasts. All right, back into it. Skill number 5, risk management. You'll never meet a wealthy person that doesn't take risk, but you also won't meet one that takes dumb ones either. Millionaires calculate risk just like insurance agents. They'll ask the following questions: what's the downside if I'm wrong? Can I recover if this fails? And what information am I missing? They'll diversify time, money, and energy across multiple bets. But every move is intentional and strategic. Avoiding risk guarantees doing the absolute minimum, but managing it creates wealth. For example, I invest into Money Talks Media every single week. To help manage that risk, I keep a backlog of videos scheduled ahead, so when life happens, I'm not scrambling. Because if I didn't have a backlog of videos scheduled ahead, I'll be rushing my editor that I work with. And I wouldn't want to put myself in that position, because I wouldn't want to rush the quality of the videos. And because he values his craft, none of the videos are ever rushed. Basically what I'm saying is that preparation turns risk into strategy. So before you start anything new, a business, an investment, or a partnership, list out 3 of your biggest risks and what you would do if anything were to go wrong. Skill number 6, discipline and habit formation. Discipline isn't just about waking up early every single day. It's about doing the boring work long enough for it to compound. Most people just chase motivation, but millionaires build systems. Because if you think that I'm motivated recording these videos every single week, you're lying to yourself. Because I've realized that over time, motivation fades, but discipline sustains. For me, it's showing up every week to record videos, perform at a high level at work, and network intentionally, even when I don't feel like it. Millionaires automate what they can, track what matters, and build routines that build that invisible progress. There's clients that I've seen within wealth management that make 6 figures, but they've eventually become multi-millionaires just by building those financial habits. And it's not through luck, but it's consistency. Even if those habits are not tied directly financial, they build the mindset for you to do it later on. So what you can do is monthly investing, automatic transfers, and zero lifestyle creeps. Their success was not loud at all. It was methodical. Your play is to automate one financial habit each week. And this could be as simple as a reoccurring transfer or a budget adjustment. Remove willpower from the equation and let systems build your future. Now we're wrapping this up with the last skill. Skill number 7, networking and influence. Millionaires don't just network, they nurture. They show up curious, not just transactional. They make deposits long before withdrawing anything. There's a rule that I live by called the 10-10 forever rule. And this is from someone I deeply admire, Sharan Shrivastava. His key message is you don't need hundreds of contacts. It's that you need 10 hot relationships that you can build for 10 years plus. And those 10 people can literally change everything. Real wealth doesn't just come from business cards or events. It comes from relationships that compound. Because these relationships can open doors, change your mindset, and push you to the next level. Find your 10, invest in them for 10 years, and then do this. Number 1, Audit your circle. Who's helping you grow and who's holding you back? Number 2, be intentional. Seek mentors, peers, and communities that are doing the same thing that you're doing. Number 3, add value first. Don't just ask, but contribute. And number 4, stay consistent. Relationships compound just like investments. Show up and follow up. And those power plays is how you build a strong network that can pay dividends for life. Here are the key takeaways, and we're about to summarize the 7 invisible skill sets. Number 1 is emotional intelligence. This is what keeps you grounded. Number 2, negotiation. That is what builds leverage. 3, strategic thinking. This one creates direction. Number 4, learning agility. This keeps you relevant on all fronts. 5, risk management. It protects your downside if anything were to go wrong. 6 is discipline. This fuels compounding because motivation fades. And number 7, networking. This accelerates everything, even your personal brand, to the next level. These skills are invisible until they aren't, and until they show up in your income, confidence, and peace of mind. So start practicing them today. No permission, no credentials, just intention. Because money doesn't make you powerful, but mastery in your skill sets does. But as always, thanks for watching. Apply these invisible skill sets today. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.